What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? What is this all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
Hey BALLBUSTERS, Bates here with your friend of mine, Ray Mungus, and we're inviting you into our fruit cellar tonight on episode 13 of Way of Life Live. How you doing tonight, Mungus?
I'm alive, like usual. How are you?
Fucking exhausted. Went right from work to the dentist today. That took like an hour and a half, and by the time I got home, the wifey wasn't here, so I had to cook dinner, which I don't mind, but just coming home an hour and a half later than I normally come home, and then having to put together dinner, and yeah.
Yeah, and if of course it's on this night, it couldn't have been on any of the other nights where it's a little slower. It's got to be on the night we have the podcast.
Yeah, I was hoping to come home after the dentist, maybe take a little nap and eat. Yeah, no, it didn't quite work that way.
I'm glad that we're not transitioning the podcast yet, or we didn't do it this week.
Yeah, I was when I got the notes for tonight. I was like, this looks exactly the same. You were a big liar when you said format changes.
Yeah, I've been working on the other format one, but the thing that sort of took precedent was the event thing that's going to be happening on Friday on Dead Entertainment. So I figured let me shove off the new format for another week, and then we could get into that. Possibly even next week. We'll see how things go.
Whatever. It works for me. So, all right. So let us get into it.
Yes, let's. Got some pretty fun stuff this week.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Some big news in horror this week. We got some guest announcements for Monster Mania we're gonna talk about, and
I think the biggest thing is the Oscar nominations that landed. I mean, that alone pretty much, it took the internet by storm, and we got a little bit of that to talk about tonight. Some rumors.
Yeah, definitely, and we got some geek stuff to talk about as usual.
But we're just gonna keep stalling, just to make you wait some more, as if we're not notorious enough for that.
So I guess before we really even get started with anything else, as Mungus had mentioned before, we are doing our second live commentary for Dead Entertainment this Friday night at 8. We will be watching The Devil's Rejects, which is one of my all-time favorite films. And
yeah, same here. It's in my top 5.
Yeah, definitely. And we will be doing a live commentary on the deadentertainment.com YouTube channel. It will be me, Mungus. Who else? I don't even know.
My cousin Joe Antonucci is going to be hanging out with us. I'm still waiting to hear from Chris, who joined us on the Krampus commentary, but we'll see about that, and possibly another staff member or two from Dead Entertainment.
Danucci sounds like a guinea.
Yes.
That's not racist. I'm allowed to say that. I'm a guinea too.
Exactly. And I could agree. I'm like an honorary Italian because I grew up in a neighborhood.
So, all right. So, yeah. So, 8 o'clock Friday night, guys. Devil Rejects live commentary. That should be. That should actually be a lot of fun. I'm gonna try setting up a little bit differently than how I did it for Krampus. And it should go a little bit better, hopefully. I mean, Krampus actually went very well for our first time.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun too.
I wish that we could actually show the movie, but. Yeah, that's
copyright laws and all that good stuff.
That's a headache we don't want to deal with, especially for a movie like this. we will be looking into some good movies that we will be able to stream, whether they be public domain movies or we get permission. So, keep your eye out for that coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And just to clarify, the stream's going to be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So look up your time zones and all that, and adjust accordingly. I'm debating whether I should geek out live over the comment that I got before.
Oh yeah, go ahead. That's pretty cool.
I think so too. So I've been promoting the live stream commentary event on various social media accounts. And I decided to make a specific image for Instagram on Dead Entertainment's Instagram account, which you could get to instagram.com/Dead Entertainment. So I put a bunch of hashtags and all this good stuff, and I went to check my notifications and noticed somebody had commented, so I jumped on my Instagram account real quick, took a look, and it was none other than Chop Top Mosley, who wrote a comment in character as Otis, and he, "Me, Spalding, and Baby don't want to hear anything bad out of you, or we'll staple your lips to our back porch swing." Not only is it cool to be getting a comment like that from Bill Mosley himself, his official Instagram account, but he also decided to have fun with it and write it in character, which I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, he's always a fan pleaser and a class act. Stapling things to back.
Like, how do you go wrong, honestly?
Yeah, stapling things to back porch swings and such isn't very classy, but just the act of saying it is sort of classy.
Exactly, and only in the horror community could somebody get away with saying something that's to somebody else anonymously, and the recipient of that comment is in glee over it. Only in the horror community. Yeah,
pretty much. I don't think like a fan of a reality TV show is gonna swoon over a comment like that from one of the Kardashians or.
Yeah, right. Like they're ready to be halfway to the police station with multiple restraining orders.
But horror fans like, dude, you wouldn't believe who just threatened to kill me, man. It's so awesome.
Exactly. Like I'm tempted to print it out and like frame it,
Get it tattooed on your back or something.
Yeah, I don't think I would go that far, but framing maybe. I don't know. Needless to say, it was very cool of them to shoot a little response to our advertisement.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get into it tonight. So Monster Mania guest announcements, they just keep coming. They're not stopping. And
at this point, we may as well be like the Monster Mania companion podcast with how much we report their stuff.
Yeah, seriously. You hear that, Dave? You don't listen to this anyway.
No, he doesn't, but he should.
I want some fucking free tickets. So, we got a couple more guest announcements. And I gotta say, I was pretty surprised by all of them.
Yeah, I'm pleased. And a couple of them caught me off guard.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we missed... No, maybe we didn't miss any. So, first announced was Ali Sheedy. Ali Sheedy of Breakfast Club fame.
Short Circuit.
Well, short... Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was in the first Short Circuit.
Yep.
And...
Stuff.
Yeah.
Like honestly, that's pretty much what I know her from. I'm sure she's been in a slew of movies that, like we'd be like, holy shit, she was in that. But like when I think of that name, I immediately go to the Breakfast Club. She's like a kind of character that you admired growing up as a little weird person.
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed to say I can't really think of anything else at the top of my head that she was in, but yeah, Breakfast Club and Short Circuit. And obviously, anyone who's seen Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2 is a movie that is famous for casting a white guy in brownface as a Indian.
Yeah, that happens. To deviate from that really quick before we tank ourselves again.
It happened twice, I'm just saying.
That it did. I'm on the IMDb page, and something just caught my eye. She was apparently in X-Men Apocalypse as Cyclops' teacher, and that's pretty cool. Like, being an X-Men fan, I was like, huh.
There you go. All right. So
A small role, but still like relevant to my interests.
probably taking what she can get nowadays. I mean, you know what? But I think she was in a TV show not too long ago, or maybe I'm thinking of Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, she's in a bunch of stuff.
Regardless, she got announced. That's pretty cool. I've never met her. I've never seen her at a convention before. So fans definitely love that. Now, the next announcement was probably the biggest shocker, and that is Cousin Eddie himself, Randy Quaid.
That surprised the hell out of me, because last I heard he was paranoid and holed away with his wife somewhere in Canada, afraid of the United States government and the FBI and taxes and Lord knows what else.
Yeah, he made some unique videos back when
I think we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, just if you're curious, just look up. You could probably Google something like Randy Quaid crazy videos, and you'll get a couple of them. And just
I was gonna say, if you're curious, don't.
No, do it. Look him up. You'll thank us later. So yeah, there's somebody else who's never been at a convention, and no, it's definitely not anybody I've ever met before.
I'm a huge Vacation fan, so that's very tempting. Even if he is crazy, to get him to sign an 8x10 that says the shitter's full. How could you not do that?
Yeah, but and he's been in so many other great things aside from that. I mean, you got obviously he was a great part of Independence Day.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, his career's been long and fruitful. So, there's plenty of options for his 8x10s, I'm sure. But what comes close to me is his cousin Eddie role.
And then just announced today, a couple hours ago actually, was another shocker, and that is Pee Wee Herman himself, Paul Reubens.
Amazing. Like, no other words for it. I think he's a great addition. People love him. People that attend these horror conventions grew up with his show. They grew up through his highs and his lows and his comeback to fame and all that. And I don't think you can get a better guy to come to one of these conventions. He's very, very much a fan pleaser, and I can only imagine his panel. I really hope that they have a panel, because he'll be going in and out of Pee Wee Herman like crazy, and then you'll get a little bit of a look at the character behind Pee Wee Herman, the person behind him.
I am really, really hoping for a panel as well. I can't even imagine how awesome that would be. I mean, the Revenge of the Nerds panel at Monster Mania a few years ago was an amazing panel, and that had nothing to do with horror. So I can only imagine how awesome a Pee Wee Herman panel would be. And what would be really cool is if Dave managed to secure possibly Mark Holton to come to Monster Mania. For anybody who doesn't recognize the name of Mark Holton, he played Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but he also has his horror roots, as he played Ozzy in the original Leprechaun, and he also played John Wayne Gacy in the movie Gacy. So, Mark Holton makes a lot of sense at this point, if Dave can possibly hammer that down.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something that would be too far out of the realm of possible. And, I mean, he's not a huge name, but he would be an excellent complementing guest to Paul Reubens.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't, it's sad. It doesn't look like he's done a whole lot in the last 10 years. God, he took a massive hiatus.
Yeah, some actors, they fall into that, and they get a little bit of a lull, and then before you know it, they're onto something else in their life. But I'm sure the fans of Pee Wee Herman Alone and Big Adventure and everything would be like delighted to see him at this convention.
Oh God, he was also in Rumpelstiltskin. God, that's
wow.
That's two horror movies that feature dwarf horror characters that he was in.
A little weird. He was great in Gacy. I like. Remember back in the day when Blockbuster had those like 4 for $20 DVD deals? Like you'd find 3 movies and there was always one movie you could never really pick something. I blind bought Gacy once, and I heard bad things about all those serial killer movies, but
no, Gacy was good.
That was one of the more tolerable ones. He did really well in it.
Oh, and also not really horror, but kind of horror roots. He was chubby in the Teen Wolf movies.
Wow. Yeah, he's certainly made his mark.
So, you know what? Maybe tomorrow, if I remember, I'll shoot over a message to Dave and, see if he can maybe pursue that. Mark Holton would be great, and you get both him and Pee Wee up on a panel together? Kidding me?
Wow. Seriously. I mean, I would have loved to see Paul Rubens, talking about his career, but hell, add him into the mix and make it a big adventure sort of panel. I'm in.
Yeah, definitely. That would be really cool. I mean, here's hoping, but I won't hold my breath.
We'll see. This convention's packed enough.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on, some of the biggest horror news to come out this week was the Academy Award nominations, and
which was huge, just completely huge.
So every year there's usually one movie, and it's usually just a crap movie made for award season that gets all the nods. Last year it was La La Land. La La Land, stupid musical, whatever it was, and it got every nod. It won every award, whatever. Well, this
year's no difference. There are plenty of those on this year's categories, but there's some new blood in there.
Yeah, but you know what? I think how La La Land was the front runner and big name movie that was in every category.
That was the Oscar darling.
Yeah, well, fucking The Shape of Water might have taken, that role this year. Though I'm sure, what is that new Gary old Darkest Hour? I'm sure Darkest Hour probably has a million nods as well. But I mean, what does this Shape of Water have this year? 12?
A lot. So much so that when I was going through the list of nominations, I was separating everything by category. And then I was like, if we're going to read this list on air, we're going to be saying The Shape of Water fucking a ton of times. So I ended up separating it by the name of the movie.
Yeah, so just to give just a quick rundown of everything that The Shape of Water got nominated for this year, it is Best Picture, Lead Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, Director, Original Screenplay, Cinematography, Film Editing, Sound Mixing, Production Design, Original Score, and Costume Design.
I hope you're still with us after that. That was quite a list.
And just to remind you, this is a horror movie. Now, it doesn't have to be scary to be a horror movie, but this is a monster movie nonetheless. Not even just horror; it's a monster movie. So it harkens back to the films of the 30s and 40s. Aside from, short of getting, Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger to get an Oscar nod, this is the epitome. This is it. This is the best we will ever get, because it's the best you can possibly get for horror. A monster movie getting nominated for 12 Academy Awards.
Agreed. And after 25 years of work, Guillermo del Toro is finally getting his day, and I couldn't be happier.
So if that wasn't enough, Get Out, and we had talked about this before, saying that it deserved a couple of Oscar nods, and Get Out did get its Oscar nods, including Best Picture, Lead Actor, Director, and Original Screenplay. 4 Oscar nods for Get Out, about 12 for The Shape of Water. Horror is making itself known big time this year at the Academy Awards.
And these 4 nods that Get Out got, they like, it's sure Shape of Water has significantly more nods, but these are heavy hitting ones that it was nominated for. Like, a horror movie from a first time director receiving Best Picture is unheard of. It just doesn't happen in our lifetime, and it did.
Yeah, it puts a smile on my face, but then it also pisses me off because 2 years ago, my favorite movie and an amazing movie, The Witch, didn't get shit.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. That movie was like tremendous, but The Witch was not the only victim of that. I mean, this ignoring like the contributions that the horror genre makes to the film industry as a whole has been something that's been done time and time again, dating back till who Lord knows when, all the way back to Night of the Living Dead, for that matter.
Yeah, it's good that we're finally getting recognition. Horror fans are rejoicing all over, and I couldn't be happier. And to make it matters even better, for us as horror fans and comic fans, Marvel also made its. I'm kind of just splicing in.
Yeah, you know what? Like, while we're on the topic of the nominations, we might as well dive into the success of the superhero and sci-fi genre that we were going to talk about later.
Yeah. So instead of doing it now and then coming back to it later, we're just gonna, just group all this Oscar talk together. So on top of all the horror nods this year, Star Wars and Marvel made their voices known in the Oscar community and have gotten quite a few nods.
One of which I'm really excited about is probably the first one you're going to say.
Well, I get the first one on the notes is the adapted screenplay for Logan.
Very well deserved, I think.
I enjoyed Logan. It was a very, very good movie, very well done, and an absolute blast to watch. Cinematography, there's Blade Runner 2049. I can't say anything about it. I didn't see it.
I've heard good things. Having not seen the original Blade Runner in whatever cut was the preferred cut in a long time, I wanted to rewatch it before I seen it, so I'm going to be checking it out eventually.
Blade Runner 2049 also has got one for sound editing, sound mixing, production design, and visual effects. Not to be outdone, Star Wars: The Last Jedi has gotten a couple nods also in sound editing, sound mixing, original score, and visual effects.
I want to cut in real quick about this. While I was writing down Star Wars' nominations, I'm excited that it was nominated, but to me, it always seems like they get like the back end of the nominations. Like they sit at the kiddie table compared to the rest of the people that get recognized. It's like, oh, Star Wars, the toy shit again. All right, we'll give them a sound mixing nomination or maybe a sound editing. They feel less important.
Yeah, those are like the awards they don't even televise. It's like when you're watching the Grammys and the metal category comes up, they don't televise that.
Yeah, exactly. I remember Ghost winning a Grammy a few years back, and they accepted their Grammy award in front of an empty arena, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
I mean, don't get me wrong. All the sound mixing and editing and visual effects and everything like that. That makes the movie. Like, it's the unsung backbone of the film. But it sucks to see such a very well written and well made overall film just get looked at for the sound. Like, I feel it deserved a little more than that.
Yeah, agreed. And as for the MCU this year, they did get one Oscar nod.
One more than DC.
Yes. And that would be visual effects for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is... they rightfully got their nod there, but I'm pretty sure War for Planet of the Apes is going to take that one.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I just recently watched that on demand, and it blew me away. It was a beautiful looking movie. The cinematography, and I'm surprised that Kong Skull Island didn't get a nod for cinematography, because that picture looked gorgeous.
Yeah, but they are also in the visual effects category. So
yeah, so it seems like a lot of the stuff that we like and we would be pulling for throughout the year got a little something. Everybody had slight piece of the pie, even if some of the bigger movies like Star Wars only got a nibble.
Yeah, I'm pulling for James Gunn and Guardians winning one. That would be really great.
Well deserved.
Seeing Logan win would be pretty cool. Marvel movies don't typically win many Academy Awards, if any. I can only think of one Marvel movie off the top of my head that won an award, and that was years ago. Big Hero 6 won Best Animated Movie. It's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up personally.
All right, so
I do have one small glaring omission. I want to make a small complaint. Where's Doug Jones? Like, can we get him a supporting actor nod, please?
Well, I haven't seen The Shape of Water yet, but I mean, I would probably agree. He's amazing in everything he does.
Yeah, I mean that was the one thing that popped in my head when I was going through the list, and otherwise it seems like pretty standard outside of the horror, kind of sweeping the entire Academy Awards. So we'll see how things go.
So moving on, earlier this week, apparently the original RoboCop writer is developing a sequel to the 1987 original. Well, that kind of came out of left field.
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of a trend that happens lately, where people are trying to revive the series. Instead of calling it a remake, they want to make it a sequel to the originals to try to get the old fans back on board after the remake failed miserably. And RoboCop remake, I forget which year it came out, didn't do very well. 2014, I think?
Yeah.
So, this news is exciting to me because I'm a huge fan of the original RoboCop. The sequels, not so much.
I didn't hate RoboCop 2. I thought RoboCop 2 was decent.
Oh, agreed, but it wasn't nearly as gritty as the original. I mean, like, Francis Boddicker and, just his overall grindhousey feel to the original just captured my imagination as a kid. And the sequels, they threw more money at it, and it looked cheaper, and I don't know. They never did it for me, really.
It's just going to be weird to have a RoboCop sequel to the original movie, but no Peter Weller.
Has it been confirmed that he's not going to be a part of it, or?
No, I'm just
assuming.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like I would totally see Peter Weller in it. Like, let's if they could age the Terminator, let's figure out how we can age the Peter Weller RoboCop.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It'd just be weird in my opinion.
Agreed, but that man could still act. Like, he is unbelievable.
I'm for it. I wouldn't be against it. Original writer, especially if it's a really good script. I say go for it.
I mean, what else are they doing with it? Like, the next inevitable step would have been, hey, I got this good idea. Let's keep the RoboCop rights and remake it. And then it would just be, beating a dead horse of something that didn't work back in 2014 once more. At least in this particular case, it's trying to bring the whole movie series back to basics, and I think that has potential.
Yeah, it's when they start trying to do too much with a classic franchise that things just start to go south. Yeah,
definitely agreed. I mean, if they take it and take a more subtle approach to everything, I think they're going to be in an interesting spot.
So we will bring you more news on that as that develops more. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get any more news on that for the next 6 months.
Oh, easily.
It could be a while before we get anything else new on this potential RoboCop sequel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean that's the case. Like, they want to create a little bit of buzz, so they take and make a small announcement like that, and then the internet builds it into something huge, and then you don't hear anything about it for a couple years. And so that's the double-edged sword of it.
Yeah, and shit like that happens all the time.
Oh, for sure.
So next on our list tonight is the Rob Zombie's Double Reject sequel is apparently going to start shooting in March. Now, this isn't confirmed, but it is coming from, I guess, somebody at Bloody Disgusting.
Yeah, the editor-in-chief, Brad Miska, apparently he has a few sources, and they're telling him that the Devil's Rejects is a go. He's currently in negotiation with Sabin Films and Lionsgate to release the sequel, and like they're as far into production, as like more far into production than we ever imagined. Like, I expected this movie to shoot maybe next year sometime, late this year. Certainly not March.
Obviously that means that there's a completed script.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder how long he's been working on it. It's curious. Did he throw this together? Has this been something he's been working on since 2005?
I bet you he's been sitting on ideas and maybe a partial script for a while.
Yeah, and for the last year he's been kind of teasing it. So I think he wouldn't have. He's not the type of person that would start throwing scraps to the fans, the rabid fans, if he didn't have something that was concrete, or at least something that he was happy with.
Yeah, it gets me so excited, but I'm also, just a little worried.
Yeah, I am too, but I enjoyed both of the films that he's made, and I think those are his babies, and I don't think he's going to walk down the same path he did with his other films.
I hope if they're starting to film in March, I hope that doesn't screw up Sid's Monster Mania appearance.
That's a very interesting point. I didn't even consider that. Maybe it's late March? We could hope.
It could just be like principal photography where they don't really have any of the actors on set.
Yeah, that's very true. They could be, heading down to wherever they're filming, in March and getting everything set up, and then people are due on set a little bit later than that. And we'll see. I mean, it's certainly interesting. Right now, everybody's keeping a tight lip. Rob Zombie's not saying anything. Bill Moseley had a little bit of fun on Facebook on Monday, and he goes, Haha, while fans debate the latest Devil's Rejects rumors, I'm out taking out the trash, recycles, walking the dog, and watching Sion Sono movies. So he's playing it coy as well.
He's a dick.
He really is. It's one thing to not say anything at all, but to just pepper it on a little bit to the fans who are just clawing at the wall to find out a slight bit of information. That's a little rude, man.
Well, so if this happens to be true, you can expect a lot more news to be coming in fast and furious in the next month or so.
And before we move on from this topic, it's rumored to be titled The Devil's Rejects 2: 3 from Hell. And I'm curious if that title alludes to what we might expect from this movie. Are they coming back as a supernatural being like we were talking about? Did we nail that? Or is it just a cool sounding title?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and then how much of the other lore are they going to follow? From the rest of the Firefly family to possibly bringing back Dr. Satan.
I would really like to see Dr. Satan involved in some way. Didn't you say something like having Dr. Satan bring them back from the dead or something? That would be interesting.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would have concocted.
See, we have a lot of these conversations off the air that we should probably have a little more on the air.
We should be getting more news on this movie very, very soon. Fans can't wait. It's
trust me. If you wanna peek into how excited Bates and I are, join our live stream podcast on Friday, where we're basically just going to spend 2 hours gushing over this movie, because it's such a close place to our heart for this film. I've seen it personally 5 times in the theater when it came out.
Yeah, I saw it 3 times in the theater, which is rare for me because I almost never see any movie more than once in the theater because the movies are fucking expensive.
Yeah, 2005 wasn't that bad, but it was bad enough, Me, I had a situation where, I wanted to see that movie more than once, but nobody could sync up, so I went to see it with multiple groups. I seen it twice in one day with 2 different groups of people. It was ridiculous.
So, yeah, definitely can't wait for some more news on that. It's going to be really awesome to see Sid back on the screen.
Just all of them back on the screen. I know what you're saying about Sid, but we very rarely experience horror icons being born the way we saw Otis and Baby and Captain Spaulding come to light. And after this long drought of them, not being on the screen, it's going to be great just to have them back.
The one person I wish that could come back would be Ken Voorhees' character.
I think so too. I think that would be good, and they've worked together quite a few times after Devil's Rejects. So I'm, you might even see him in a different role. You never know.
Yeah, when we're watching the movie, I'll have to watch again to see if maybe he could have survived that axe.
Yeah, it's yet to be determined, but hey, if these guys are being brought back to the dead, good old Ken could come back, who knows? That's all speculation, of course.
Yeah, naturally. So moving on into a bit of geek news here.
We have a little more, there was some decent geek news, but not a hell of a lot this week. Nothing groundbreaking, just a couple blurbs here and there.
While back, Square Enix had announced they're doing an Avengers game, and apparently they've hired the Uncharted and Dead Space developers to helm it, and I'm pretty much indifferent.
Really? I actually thought you'd be excited about it.
I have not played the Uncharted or Dead Space games, and 9 out of 10 Marvel games are just not good. Aside from the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, and then Marvel Heroes was pretty fun until they did the Omega shit with it and ruined it.
And then went out of business.
Yeah, exactly. So aside from that, there's been a handful of good Spider-Man games.
The Lego games are pretty cool. I really enjoy them.
Yeah, the Lego games I've always heard good things about. But, I mean, for the most part, the Marvel is just not really really good when it comes to video game adaptations.
I agree with you, but when I heard Square Enix was getting involved in this, I immediately, perked up a little bit. It wasn't some just random, off the wall brand or EA power hungry group that are just like, just throw the fucking Marvel name on it and put it out. Who cares? Square Enix kind of like takes care of their games, as is the way I think, the way it seems, and now that we got the information that Uncharted developers and Dead Space developers are working on this game, I played the Dead Space games personally, and as they went along, they got better and better. And my brother played the Uncharted games. He has all of them, went through all of them, I think, this past summer, and he's completely blown away by the Uncharted series. So I think we might have a hit. This might be the early workings of a Marvel game series that will be a hit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. And I don't think they've announced what kind of format it's going to be. Whether it's going to be RPG style, hack and slash, straight adventure. Like we don't know exactly what type of game this is going to be.
I'm thinking that it's going to be a little more along the lines of an adventure type of game, but with RPG elements. I mean, I don't have anything to back that claim up, but based off of what Square Enix has put out before and what the Uncharted and Dead Space games look like, I think we could have an amalgamation of all three types together. And if that's the case, I think we're in for a treat. And on top of that, now that the whole Disney Fox deal is happening and such, I wonder how that would affect the games. Like, will we be able to have the X-Men with the Avengers in this game? Can they cross over and stuff?
Oh yeah, no, that was never an issue in video game rights.
Oh, I know it was never an issue, but if you look at some of the Lego games in later years, when Disney started to get territorial, they started to eliminate all of the non-Marvel Studio-owned characters from their video games. So it's interesting to see how that all played out. And now that they're about to welcome the Cosmic Universe, the X-Men universe, the Deadpool universe and such, they might play a little more well together this time out.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I'm sure we'll get some more news about this game at E3 this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But for right now, everything's all speculation and rumors, and we only get a tidbit of truth here and there for in terms of development of this game.
Yeah, and the excitement comes from just us hoping and praying it's a decent game and what you expect of it.
So next up was a fucking weird announcement.
I feel so weird about everything related to this announcement. I don't know how to feel, to be honest.
I don't like it. I don't like anything about it.
I think it's fitting. Like, I'll let you introduce it, but I'll tell you why I think so. But go on.
Well, I don't even like the idea. So they announced that Platinum Dunes is moving forward with a Duke Nukem movie. And
if you don't know who Platinum Dunes are, it's Michael Bay's production company, who's most well known for the Transformer movies, the Ninja Turtle movies, and who knows.
So is most known for garbage.
Pretty much, yeah.
And apparently, John Cena is in talks to play Duke Nukem. I don't like anything about this. I don't really care, about John Cena, whatever. I
don't really care about Duke Nukem. So, like,
I don't think he's going to translate well to a big screen.
It depends, like, we've had plenty of those movies where there's like this ass-kicking badass, type of character, and I think he could translate well in that regard. But to bring him in exactly how he was in the games that like got Duke Nukem popular in this sort of PC world that we're living in, First off, I don't think they're going to be able to do half the shit that they did, and what made people like the character to begin with. Which, who knows, who cares? But like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to expect of this thing.
I just don't think it's going to work. We've had plenty of movies with characters sort of similar to Duke Nukem style. I mean, Escape from New York, Snake Plissken. It's sort of a Duke Nukem type character.
They lived. Roddy Piper played that role a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's where fucking Duke Nukem got half of his one-liners.
Pretty much.
We've had this character, this sort of character before, and back when those movies were made, it worked. Now, I just don't see it working in today's age. It's an outdated character. He's been exactly the same since his inception. There's been no character growth within the character, and it's just like, what was cool in 1994 is it's not cool anymore. Even when they released that Duke Nukem Forever game years ago, finally, it's still the same Duke from the mid '90s, and it's
like the novelty is worn off.
Oh, it's so beyond gone. It didn't help that the game was really bad. I mean, it wasn't as good as the Shadow Warrior remakes, but at least the Shadow Warrior remakes, the character had changed a little bit, but the games were actually pretty fun.
I think the fact that this character has not changed since the early '90s kind of opens up the possibility that it might change in the movies. Like, not to say that they're going to revitalize Duke Nukem for what he is. He's going to be the same character, but being that there's not a hell of a lot of development over the course of the last 20 or so years, it leaves room for a writer to explore things that haven't been explored before. So I think in that regard, it might be interesting. And if there's any movie that's more suitable for Michael Bay or Michael Bay's style, it's Duke Nukem.
I mean, how are they even going to attempt this? Are they really going to have John Cena running around with giant guns, blowing up pig cop aliens?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's probably going to look like the mass jumbled pile of shit that Transformers is, except there's going to be like monster aliens that Cena's going to go around killing. The other thing that's interesting to me about this idea is I'm curious to see what John Cena's acting chops are actually like. And not in some dumb movie like, what was some of the other garbage he was in? Some WWE films or whatnot. I'm curious to see how he would be in a leading role in the same vein as The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Well, I know The Rock has been in 36 movies, but when you go back and you look at them, most of them were awful.
Yeah, for the most part, he's a one note character, but I don't know. I'm not excited about this. I don't care about Duke Nukem. I played the games a little bit when I was younger, and I moved on with my life. I grew up, but this news, like the way the puzzle pieces have fallen on with this news, I'm curious. I don't understand why. I just want to see what this movie looks like. I'm not necessarily excited for it, but I'm curious about it.
Yeah, I'd like to know who went into Platinum Dunes and pitched this idea. It's like, you know what? It's 2018. We need a Duke Nukem movie. Like, who did that?
Yeah, but that's classic Platinum Dunes and Michael Bay. It's like, what kind of badassery could we go and make? You know, like what kind of kick-ass movie? You know, like I can imagine it's just a bunch of bros in Michael Bay's production office, and you know they're all fucking drinking energy drinks and fist pumping and shit, and they just happen to stumble upon Duke Nukem somehow.
There are so many other video games franchises way more worthy of a fucking movie right now. Like, Duke Nukem is not on that list.
I agree, but I'm glad that it's being handled over at Platinum Dunes. Like, the games that are worthy of an adaptation in film, I think they're probably better off not being made rather than being made by Michael Bay.
Yeah, so yeah, we're in agreement here. We are not excited for this movie. We're not excited for this news. We are curious to a degree, but for the most part, it's dumb.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I think you said you hit the nail on the head when you introduced it. I read the article and I was like, huh, that's odd. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
All right, so moving on to tonight's headlining topic, and it's nothing really, nothing. It has nothing to do with anything news based. Just kind of an overall discussion on the Evil Dead series, because I just recently started finally watching Ash vs. Evil Dead. I've gotten through the first season and half of episode 1 of season 2. I plan on finishing season 2 before season 3 drops.
So that's dropping next month, I think.
Yep. And so, amongst other things, we also got Black Panther next month.
That's exciting. I'm very, very pumped for that. And to jump off of Black Panther, the full-length Deadpool trailer is supposed to be attached to it, from what I read.
And also, the second half of season 1 of The Tick is coming out next month.
Definitely. I still have to check out the season. It's on my to-do list. I actually have to get my login credentials for the Amazon Prime before I could dive into it, but I'm looking forward to it.
And then before you know it, March is here, and that's Jessica Jones season 2.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very pumped for that. I love the Jessica Jones season 1. I mean, all the Netflix shows. I still haven't watched Punisher, though. I really need to fucking get on the ball with that.
Yeah, you do. Punisher was a lot of fun.
But, like, you're seeing a trend here. It took me, like, a month to see Star Wars. You know, as I would mention to you earlier, I just came across, watching Thor Ragnarok. I finally found a small theater locally to check that out, and holy shit, was that good.
Yeah, it was a... Man, that movie just did everything right and had you smiling the entire way through.
It really did, and it just might be my favorite Jeff Goldblum character. My God, like you expect greatness out of Goldblum, and you expect batshit crazy, but you don't expect the Grandmaster. And my God, Taika Waititi got one hell of a performance out of that man.
Yeah, God, I mean, I could probably talk about that movie for hours.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention it because, like, you were busting my chops back when you seen it, and it took me only till just about the end of January to finally see it. And what was the guy's name? Korg, was it?
Oh yeah, that's who.
What Taika plays.
Yeah.
Lovable character. I love his character is so great.
Yeah, I mean, almost everything out of his mouth was like classic quotes worthy.
Yeah, especially the end, but I'm not going to give it away about Meek.
Oh yeah.
If you see Thor Ragnarok, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh man! All right, so yes, I finally watched season 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead after, I don't know, like 2 years of putting it off.
Yeah, and like I busted your balls about it around every corner because when the Evil Dead remake happened, and I was extremely excited for it because my personal favorite Evil Dead movie is the very first one where it was actually scary, and where, you know, like as a kid, that shit made you keep the lights on. Let's just put it that way. And then over the years, it became a little slapsticky. So when the remake hit, I was glad that they finally brought it back to what the original was. And this is where Bates and I disagreed. He likes the slapstickiness of Part 2 and Army of Darkness. And when Ash vs. Evil Dead came out and they gave him exactly that, I was like, all right, here's what you were asking for, man. I got my movie. You got your television series. We're happy now. And then he proceeded to not watch it for 2 years.
I don't know. I got to a point where like I didn't watch any TV that wasn't like a sporting event or a Marvel show. And
yeah, we all get there sometimes.
And it just takes me like a swift kick in the ass. Like Bates Motel is a great example. I mean, I never watched it until I had to fly to Vietnam, and then I watched like the entire series on the plane. So it just takes me a little while, but I eventually get to the stuff. And season 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead was very entertaining, crazy gory, crazy bloody. The jokes are great. Bruce Campbell was amazing in it. He looked like he was in great shape. It's the same character I remember. My only complaint, and it's not even really a complaint because I kind of like the way it worked, was the actor who plays Pablo is just not a very good actor. But as I said, it sort of works. He when like I first started watching the show, he didn't necessarily sit well with me in the very beginning. Nothing against him or anything. It just you could tell he was pretty green at acting, and I could confirm, having seen the second season of Evil Dead, Ash vs. Evil Dead, he definitely gets more comfortable. Everybody becomes more comfortable in their skin with the show, and by the close of season 2, you are just like, okay, this needs to be like an annual tradition. This needs to happen every year, and it should never be canceled ever. And unfortunately, like season 3 was a little rocky, startup, and thankfully we're finally getting it. But like the characters, the performances, the writing, the stories, everything comes full circle in season 2, and you could tell that like the future for your Ash vs. Evil Dead is promising as long as Stars continues to make it. A pleasant surprise that I wasn't even aware of was Lucy Lawless being a part of the series, which I thought
my friend, are in for a treat if you enjoy that.
Which was a really nice sort of callback to her Xena days, because Bruce Campbell was a reoccurring character on Xena.
I didn't actually know that.
Yep, he was in a handful of episodes. Sort of a popular character for a little while.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and
she kicks ass in general. I mean, just anytime she's on the screen, like not only on that show but pretty much in anything, like it's definitely enjoyable. You're always excited to see her.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I've really seen her in that I absolutely love, and still to this day, it's one of my all-time favorite TV shows, was the Spartacus series on Starz, which you haven't finished watching.
I haven't started watching.
Oh, well, and he gets on me for Ash vs. Evil Dead. Spartacus has been out way longer.
Yeah, but the difference between that is the fact that I don't sit there and say, man, I wish they had a Spartacus show, and then you're like, dude, they do. And then I haven't watched it for 2 years. You're the one that told me that I should watch it. I said I might watch it, and just never got around to it.
Don't try to spin this in your favor, all right? Not going to work. You need to, just take some time, watch the first couple episodes of Spartacus. It's awesome. It's fucking. You have Lucy Lawless. You have John Hannah, who I absolutely adore. You have the actor who played Brodsky from Jason X as a main character for every episode in Spartacus.
See, I was about to say I need to find some time to do it, but Lord knows I have enough of it right now. But I need to take a vacation from the podcasting and the website to really get down and watch some of these shows. I am like completely backlogged on everything that I promised to watch, and I currently watch like every week.
Yeah, well, it was funny. It was last week when I started watching the show. I was actually gonna watch Raw and The Void, and I saw that Ash vs. Evil Dead was on Netflix, and it kind of like. It's like, oh, I think I should just watch this.
Got sucked into that tractor beam.
I was like, yeah, it's like I guess I should watch this. I can watch Raw and The Void another day.
Yeah, I need to get into those myself. The Void, especially. I hear tremendous things about that movie.
So, loved season 1. Looking forward to finishing up season 2. It really does feel like the movies to a degree. It's sort of, because I've never really looked into the show very much, I'm still trying to figure out exactly the timeline. So it's like we have part 1 and 2, or part 2-ish really, and then I'm guessing Army of Darkness really didn't happen in this universe? Or what?
It does happen, and first off, there's some Easter eggs toward it, all scattered throughout the shows. But I hear they're going to possibly even toy around with the Army of Darkness lore within the next few seasons.
Well, I picked up on the one Easter egg that says when Ash says something like chopping up my evil clone just never gets old. I picked up on that one. I'm like, oh, okay, that's obviously a reference to Army of Darkness, but did Army of Darkness happen? He doesn't have his metal hand.
It's also a reference to Evil Dead 2, because if you remember, he is the Deadite Ash in that. Not the War Deadite Ash, but he becomes like the one with the blackened eyes and the blackened eye sockets and the white eyes.
Oh, yeah. Did he chop him up with a chainsaw in part 2?
I think so, and I maybe so. I haven't seen part 2 in a while, and like I said, part 1's one of my favorites. So I'm not exactly sure, but I have the action figure sitting on my shelf, so I remember it.
So I would love to see some more callbacks to Army of Darkness. I think that would be pretty cool. But overall, I'm very happy with the show. I can see why fans love it, and they continue and they clamor for more.
One thing I do want to say though is, I know it might be just an excuse or whatever, but like season 3 almost didn't happen due to piracy, and these cable companies that are dropping stars randomly in the last few months aren't making it any easier to watch this show. But like, if you really dig Ash vs. Evil Dead, support it one way or another. You can go on iTunes and rent the episodes the next day after it airs. You know, like look for stars on demand online or something like that. There's legal ways to see it. And if you want season 4, like, we really gotta work together as a horror community to support it on, you know, when it airs, when it gets put up, when it gets put on DVD and Blu-ray, and when it gets put on Netflix. You know, without that demand, we're not going to see it again. And this might be our last hurrah with Bruce Campbell as Ash. And, you know, if that's what you like to see, you know, you got to support it.
So to kind of segue into something else real quick, because you mentioned fan demand. This is going to officially be my testimony right here to the Shudder Network to bring back Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs. I want it back. This is my video testimony to you, Shudder Network. Get it, do it, make it fucking happen. Fans everywhere want Monster Vision back. To kind of give a little background onto that, earlier this week, it was actually late last week, Joe Bob Briggs had posted a tweet saying that the Shudder Network was tossing around the idea of possibly bringing back Monster Vision, and but Joe Bob Briggs said that they weren't sure about it yet, and they kind of wanted fans to make these video testimonies to, you know, let them know if there's a demand for it. And this is mine. I'm going to cut this out of this episode, and I'm going to fucking send it to them because I want the show back. All right? I don't know about you, Mungus, but I loved Monster Vision growing up. I used to watch it every Saturday night. I saw a lot of great horror movies that I still watch and love today. First on Monster Vision, Joe Bob Briggs is amazing. We had the pleasure of seeing him introduce a movie live at the Alamo Drafthouse Theater in Yonkers. We saw him introduce Reanimator. And I want more of that. Fans need Monster Vision back in their lives right now. With the way horror is going, we need Joe Bob Briggs, Monster Vision, drive-in totals. We need all of that back in our life.
I couldn't have said it better, to be honest. So put me on the list of people that want Monster Vision back, and you know, like if Shudder's not interested, try to take it somewhere else. Honestly, we're in a time where Monster Vision would completely work, especially with horror movies that are not necessarily being put through the theatrical system. So like this would be a great time to bring this show back and present these movies the way he did back in the day.
And you know what? They could take it a step further nowadays too. They could take it to the point where it'll be classic Monster Vision, but just upgrade it. Make it more like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Actually have him watching the movie with us and doing his own commentary over the movie.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And having seen, you know, I was with you when we went to the Alamo and he introduced that. I almost didn't want Reanimator to start. I just kind of wanted to hear him talk about Reanimator for the next hour and a half. You know, if you've seen his stuff before and if you've seen him in person, you know the intellect of him and the knowledge of him. You know, so like it'd be completely welcomed and you know, to this day and age. You know, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, this little segment wasn't on our notes, but when Ray's had mentioned the fan demand, it kind of brought to my attention this news, and we had to cover it. So, yeah, again, Shudder Network, make it happen. These two fans right here want it, and I'm sure we're just two of thousands upon thousands of fans that want Monster Vision back on the air in some capacity.
Yeah, and honestly, look at my picture in the video. Do you really want to tussle with somebody like that? You know, if you don't bring back Monster Vision? You know, like, well, we'll mess you up.
Alright, so, anything else to say about Evil Dead?
Support it, you know, and just, you haven't seen it, go on Netflix right now and binge it. It is completely worth your time. If you're a fan of the series, it is a lot of fun. If you're a fan of the horror elements to it, that has it. You're a fan of the gore, it has plenty of it, and it's hysterical. You know, like it doesn't feel like an old man trying to recapture the glory. It feels like Bruce Campbell aged, but the character of Ash is just as stupid as we remember him, and I say that with complete love and honesty. You know, like it's the Evil Dead and Ash that you grew up with. So check it out.
Yep, I'll second pretty much everything you just said on there. It's Ash is still Ash. I mean, there's no aging a character like that. I mean, he may look different because he's gotten older, but he's exactly the same. It's like aging one of the Three Stooges. Yeah, they're gonna look older, but they're still gonna be the exact same stooge.
One thing that I was like concerned about before the show even got off the air, or got onto the air rather, Ash. You know, Ash. I'm calling him Ash. Bruce Campbell was kind of like so sick of people asking him for Evil Dead 4, and it got to the point where like he was not rude, but like he was just done with that question. He was done with Ash. He never wanted to hear from him again. He never wanted to be have any sort of part of the character. And when Ash vs. Evil Dead was, in the process of being made, I was a little bit worried that he might not phone it in, but like we'd get a little more of a grumpier Ash, somebody that didn't necessarily want to strap on the old chainsaw again and wield the shotgun. But I gotta say, like having seen the both seasons so far, he is having a blast with this character. Like he is back,
Yeah, it's like he found his fountain of youth, and it happens to be in this character that he has made famous.
Yeah, he has. It seems like he has such joy playing the character again, and going back to the whole support thing, I don't want to take that away from him, and I don't want to take the show away from us. As selfish as that may seem, let's keep this going for a long time.
All right, guys, I think that is going to wrap it up for this week's episode. We coming in at about an hour and 30 today. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and that's counting the pre-stream, so we're a little bit closer to the mark that we've been hoping to hit since the first episode. And next week, if we decide to change the formats of everything, we might be hitting this hour mark a little bit more consistently. So if you have friends that listen that are interested in horror, geek talk, and shit like that, share their podcast, this episode 13, and tell them to get into it. Give us a vibe, and see what they think of it. Not everybody has 2-3 hours to blow on a podcast, so we're trying to wheel it in a little bit to an hour.
Yeah, trying to whittle it down a little bit.
Exactly, and once we get things going with the potential new format and the Dead Entertainment podcast that we're in the process of getting off the ground, which that's going to be on the Dead Entertainment YouTube channel. You're going to have plenty of content from us. Add in the Metal Beer Horror and a few other projects that we're working on. If you dig what we're doing, you're in for a treat.
So thank you, everybody, followers or subs, anybody who comes in and listens and watches us live. We appreciate it so much. I just want to remind everybody, again, Friday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the Dead Entertainment YouTube channel. We will be doing a Devil's Rejects live commentary that Bill Mosley is supporting.
Yeah, that's a good way to spin it. At least Otis is keeping an eye on us.
Yes. So we got his support there. I also want to remind everybody that on my personal channel, Live Deliciously in Game, I do have a giveaway going on right now for a 36 by 24 gray matter art print. It's a Edward Scissorhands print by artist Chris Skinner. So if you guys are interested in winning that, check out my channel, subscribe, and watch and comment on the video, and you'll be entered. I will let the winner know through YouTube if they won. I'll be doing a live drawing of the winner. I'm hoping to get at least 10 entries, and then once I get 10 entries, I will set a date for when the winner will be announced.
Even if you aren't interested in Edward Scissorhands, and might know somebody that is, or you want to impress a girl or something and win it for her, you know what I'm saying? Go and share it, like you don't necessarily have to be interested, get the word out there. We're trying to give away a gorgeous poster for free. Well, Bates is, at least. I have nothing to do with it. But, get the word out there, get us some people that are going to enter.
So you guys got that. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us here and follow us over on Twitter at WayOfLifeNet. Also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/WayOfLifeNet. I'm not sure if we have gotten on iTunes yet. I don't think we're...
It's close. I say it every week. It's definitely close. We are going to be having the Dead Entertainment podcast on iTunes, and as we work that out, We are going to be putting Way of Life live up there. Also, this Friday on deadentertainment.com, the entire back catalog of Way of Life live episodes are going to be posted, as well as this one as a special feature.
So yeah, that's definitely pretty cool. Hopefully, maybe after iTunes, I would say I would like to try to get us on Stitcher. I'm a big fan of Stitcher. I do subscribe to Stitcher Premium, and I really enjoy the content and the stuff that they offer there. So maybe after iTunes, we can also get onto Stitcher. So shout outs this week, just the same as every week. I gotta give a special thanks to a couple of the people I follow for retweeting out my giveaway today. But the same people as always: Freddy in Space, John Squires over on Twitter, writer for Bloody and Disgusting, writer for Dread Central, Jonathan Barkin, Kim Fall, Max Fishers, Bloody Popcorn, Horror Movie Barbecue, Dinosaur Dracula. All these guys, great guys. I follow them all on Twitter. Look them up. They are great people to follow. My buddy Mad Eye Yokai and my Swedish horror buddy who streams over on Twitch, Tardulf. Guys, check out all these people. They are great people. They post up great content, or they stream great content, and they are all worth a follow or subscription. Also, shout outs to obviously Dave over at Monster Mania, who continues to impress every week with more ridiculous guest announcements. Can't wait for March to come and for the content we're going to be providing at Monster Mania for you guys. Also need to obviously shout out my friends over at Grey Matter Art. They are a great bunch of guys, and they supply some of the best art you're going to find for horror and sci-fi. And as always, our friend Ben over, and the rest of the crew over at Fright Rags. What do you got this week?
I actually have a couple this week, which is normal, or far from normal, because I normally am not prepared for this segment. But I just wanted to give a shout out to somebody we've shouted out before, but they're awesome. At Jersey Horror on Twitter, they basically promote all things scary in New York, Pennsylvania, Jersey, and beyond. Events, casting calls, behind the scenes. If you want to know what's going on in the tri-state area, or fuck it, like if you want to know what's going on in the horror world in general, this Twitter account is the one to follow. They're very supportive of what we do here at Way of Life Network and Dead Entertainment. So definitely give them a follow on Twitter. Sorry, hold on. The other group is Nightmare on Film Street podcast. They have a website called nofspodcast.com. They have a pretty kick-ass podcast to begin with, but they also cover a lot of horror news and things like that. They just recently started to follow Dead Entertainment on Twitter, and in a few interactions that I had with them, they were really great. I've heard some of their stuff before, and definitely worth checking out. I just wanted to give them a quick shout.
Those aren't the people behind the Fred Heads documentary, right?
I don't know if they're involved with it, to be honest, because they just started following us, and I haven't really been busy. But I'll have to look into it.
All right, because the one of the people who's working on that Fred Heads documentary, I believe,
is also no longer associated with that documentary.
Oh, okay, good. They got rid of him?
Yes, they not only apologized to Dave and Monster Mania, but they parted ways with them, and they're having nothing else to do with the person.
Well, yeah, Dave and Rob.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have a feeling I know who it was, because it's not the first time that they had problems before. But they promptly settled things, and everything's all squared away and settled up between the two.
All right, that's good to hear. I didn't know that. That's good to hear.
But again, this podcast seems to be awesome. Just check them out. You could check their Twitter out at NOFS podcast. That's Nightmare on Film Street, which you can find on iTunes. And I guess my last shout out would be to Bill Mosley, Chop Top Mosley on Instagram, for leaving a pretty kick-ass comment and making this Horror Geeks night. That's about it for me. You can follow me at Ray Mungus.
Yep, and as always, you can find me on Twitter at Bates_MotelMT. I'm usually ranting about something, bitching about something, and usually posting updates about my stream, and just random bullshit. You know, that's what Twitter really is. It's just random bullshit. So yeah, thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you also check out the content we are currently providing for deadentertainment.com. You know, just also keep in mind that everything that we're doing, whether it's stuff for Way of Life, Metal Beer Horror, deadentertainment.com, or Live Deliciously in Game, we're all under this umbrella. We're all kind of together in this. So while it's all separate content, it's all in the same family and under the same roof. So just keep that in mind. And right now, I hope you guys are just liking everything we're putting out, from the podcast to the content to the streams we're doing. You know, we're trying to give everybody different things to watch and different things to enjoy in this environment of horror and sci-fi and video games, really.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's reinvigorated my passion for the genre. I'm enjoying sitting there talking about news on a weekly basis, and most of all, finding like-minded people that come in and say that they checked out our podcast or they watch live every week and things like that. It's awesome that we are doing things that we love and people are reacting to it, you know, and it's just great, you know. I'm really enjoying this whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a blast so far, and it's only going to get better, you know, once we start growing more. And I have a feeling that the Monster Mania coverage in March is just going to be absolutely amazing. And I can't wait.
Yeah, without a question. I completely agree.
All right, guys, just want to say thank you one more time. We will see you on Friday for Den Entertainment, and we will see you next Wednesday for another episode of Way of Life Live. So again, guys, thank you, and remember.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.